everyone, this is Shelly from Koala Knits and Knacks, and in this tutorial I'm going to show you how to make this beautiful hooded, yes it's got a hood, hooded sweater or vest or cardigan or whatever you want to call it. I put fringe on it, I've got some buttons on it and some loops to hold those buttons. It's just such a cozy, comfortable item that I know you're going to love. I used Loops and Threads Fleck yarn in the color Silver Lining. And each ball has 355 grams on it, and I used five, not 10, 5. I used 5 balls for the sweater, just under actually, maybe 4.5 for the sweater. And then I needed to buy the 6th ball and just use barely any of it to add the hood onto it as well. So, you know, if you don't want to do the hood by 5, if you want to do the hood by 6. My intent was to make it without a hood, and then I thought after I made it, oh, this really needs a hood. So I decided to do that instead. But it is just lovely. It's made on my Addi 22. The whole sweater is done on the 22 needle machine. So whether you have the Addi or the Sentro, you can make this sweater. And the hood is done on the 48 needle Sentro. But if you have the 46 needle Sentro, that works too. So I hope you enjoy this tutorial. Don't forget to give it a like, because that helps YouTube grab it on the algorithm and get it spread. So I'd appreciate that very much. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel, I'd love to have you a part of this community, so please do that as well. And in the down below, I have a link to my Facebook group. It's just a new group, but it's already growing by leaps and bounds, and so I'd be happy to have you as part of that as well. So it's Koala Knits and Knacks in its Facebook group. All right, so thanks for joining me. I hope you enjoy this beautiful cardigan. Okay, so if you have your Addi 22 set up or your Sentro 22, you're going to need some waste yarn that's a different color from your working yarn, so that when we close the ends, it's easy to see your stitches. Okay, so I've got her all shined up and ready to go, and we're going to begin. Okay, actually I missed a few spots here, but that's okay. We're going to go. So bring around your last white needle and your first black needle in line with your yarn feeder. Okay, again, I mark that red divider with a permanent marker, so I always know when it's coming around. We're going to do a long tail cast on behind your first black, in front of the next, behind and in front, all the way around. I love working with the Addi 22. It's just so much fun. Your rows get done so quickly, and it's just, I don't have as much trouble with the yarn in the Addi 22 as I sometimes do in my 46. So yeah, I just love this little girl. Anyways, we're going to knit as many rows of waste yarn as you're comfortable with. I always do 7 or 8 rows. That's 5, I think. 6 and 7. I'm going to do one more. It doesn't look like it's long enough for my liking. Halfway through the last row, I'm going to change my counter to 0. And then I'm watching for this little black peg to come around, divider, and there we have it. So let me find my scissors here. I hope you all had a great Christmas. We did. We had a few gatherings, and it was really, really nice. It was cold, of course, but that's okay. It's supposed to be. It's Christmas. But anyways, it just let me stay, when I wasn't busy with company, I'd stay inside and work on my knitting, so that's awesome. So I'm going to grab my yarn, and again, I'm using, what am I using? I'm using Flex by Loops and Threads, and it's called Silver Lining. I love that name too. I mention this lots in my videos because I just love the names that these yarn companies come up with. It's so pretty. So I'm going to open my yarn guide. I'm going to put my working yarn in my feeder in between the last white and the first black. And I'm going to crank a few, pull that a little bit tight there so the stitches slip underneath those dividers, so that I have even tension at the beginning of my rows like I will at the rest. Okay, and I'm going to simply knit, for me, 210 rows. Now, I'll explain to you at the beginning how to figure out how many rows you want. And we're going to just, for me, I'm going to do, I don't want a really long vest, sweater vest, so I'm going to just do 210 rows, and that comes just to my waist. And then I'm going to add a little bit of a fringe at the end, and so that makes it a little bit longer. But I'm just going to keep going until I get 210 rows. And I've got a little hole in the center of my machine here. I'm actually going to put my yarn on the floor because this trails down, and then you can't fold it in a donut like we do on our bigger machines at the top here, but you can from the bottom. You can roll it a little bit, like the best that you can, and it keeps it the tension on it as well. So I do that. Or you can clip it up, however it works for you. Use a ponytail clip and clip it up so it's all together, and it's, you know. Or if you have a lot of space for it to just fall down. One lady puts a salad spinner at the bottom. Shout out to you. I'm not sure of your name offhand, but I saw that being done. She put a salad spinner at the bottom so that her project fell into the spinner and didn't get all knotted up because it spun around. I think that's absolutely genius. So whoever you are, shout out to you. Put your name in the comments if you are hearing this, and let me know that it's you. Okay, so we're going to keep going, and I'm going to go till I get to row 210, and then I'll see you back when I'm done. All right, so you made it around, and you're at your 210th row, or however many rows that it worked out for you to do. And I'm going to finish my last row, and I'm going to watch for that to come around, that little divider. And once it's in front, then I know what my row is done. So now I'm going to find my scissors here. I'm going to cut off my working yarn. Open the latch, put it in between the last white and the first black. Then I'm going to add my waste yarn. We need waste yarn at the end of our project as well. And then I'm just going to give it one little tie just to hold those ends in place. And I'm going to go around until I get 7 or 8 rows, or however many rows you're comfortable with. Sometimes at the end you want to do a bit more than what you would do at the beginning, because at the end your project can unravel a lot easier than at the beginning. At the beginning, you have to remove the first row before you can start unraveling it. But at the end, it just automatically starts to unravel. So if you are going to put your project down and put it away for a while, like if you're going to do a number of panels at once and then put them in a bin, and once you get all your panels done, then you're going to close the ends, then I would suggest you do more rows, because if it, you know, when it's rubbing against other things or just from moving it around and stuff, you might start to lose your stitches here at the end. Ideally, what I would do is as soon as you're done one panel, take it off and close the ends, and then you're done. Then start your next panel, take it off, close the ends, and you're done. Okay, so we're going to open the latch, take out that waste yarn, put it in between the last white and the first black, let it just sit down in there, and then we're going to crank our handle. On the second time around, it starts to come off, and I always give it a little help there, just slowly, so it doesn't get stuck on the needles, okay? And now we're going to just take it out. And you see I've got it all rolled up in a little donut down there, just like so. And we're going to unroll it, and then we're going to close the ends with a flat seam. So once you get it unrolled and you just give it a little stretch lengthwise and widthwise to put those stitches in order, then see me back and we will close the ends. All right, so we have it off the machine. We've given it a little stretch lengthwise and widthwise, and we're going to just to line up those rows and soften it up a bit. We're going to undo our little knot. I don't know which end I grabbed. It could be the front, it could be the back. We'll find out. Well, I can just unroll this and I'll tell you. Okay, because this doesn't start to unravel on its own, it's the beginning of our project. So that's where we started. So now you're going to look for your waste yarn, and you're going to see what loop that's coming out of. And you'll see that it's coming out of this loop right here. So take your stitch marker. My favorite stitch markers are my bobby pins. And you're going to put one in there, and that's going to be our first stitch, okay? Then you're going to go to the left, and you'll see these 2 loops right here. You're going to take the top one. That's your last stitch. Make sure that your yarn ends are on the outside of your work so you don't seam them in. And we have 22 stitches all around here. So you see the reason why we use contrasting color waste yarn is because all these top little bumps here, bubbles or stitches, are our top row of stitches, and we're going to join those to get our flat edge, okay? So we have 22 of those all the way around. So I want to find my middle half here so that I don't start, you know, and make it so my seam is twisted. I'm going to count 11. 1. Don't miss this little one that was hiding under that bobby pin. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So I know that 11 and 12 are my very end, my side, the middle stitches. So I'm going to put my hook underneath my 12th stitch. I'm using a 4.5 millimeter. That's the one I always go to when I'm doing this closure here. You can use whatever one you're comfortable with. Just don't make it too much bigger. Do a 4 or do a 5, 5.5, somewhere in there is good. So I've got it underneath the 12. I'm going to pick up the 11 and bring it through that loop that's on my hook. So that's 2, because the first loop on your hook you count as 1. And the reason why you want to count them is because you want to make sure you pick up all 22 stitches, because if you miss one, your row is going to unravel. Okay, and then you'll have to fix that problem. So we've got 2, then 3, and 4. And it doesn't matter if you go over like this to grab it or if you go under. Basically all you're doing is grabbing that stitch and putting it through the loop on the hook. So either way works. So 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, all the way till the end, till you get to 22, and I'll see you when we get to the very end. Okay, so I've worked 20 stitches. I know I have 2 left, and that's the ones that have my bobby pin in them. So I'm going to pull up on this one, put my hook underneath there, then I can easily take that out. That's why I love bobby pins. I'm going to work that stitch, then I'm going to do this one, lift it up, take it out, and work that stitch. That's 22, yarn over with the end, pull it through that loop on the hook, and that knots it off, okay? Now this was the beginning of our project, so we're going to have to take out that very top row of stitches. So you find your end there, your waste yarn end. You got to roll up your, let's do it so we're working with the right side facing you. Okay, you're going to roll it so that your rim goes all the way up, and you want to get that very top row. You see where those stitch, that loop is over, that's the last stitch. Pinch that one stitch. It doesn't matter, you can go 5 stitches in, 6 stitches in, however you like, and then pull that out. So then I'm going to just go over a few stitches, maybe 5 or 6 stitches, roll it up so I have the very top row, pinch that stitch to the left, and pull out that row. I'm going to do that all along till I get the first row pulled out. Okay. And there, I'm coming to it. And then you just have to unwind it. It's as simple as that. If you manage to get that first row correct, then you can easily take that waste yarn off with no problem, okay? So we're finished that end. Let's move on to the next end. Okay, we're going to undo our little knot. Same thing. The waste yarn's coming out of this one, so I'm going to put my bobby pin in there as my first stitch. And then I'm going to take this one, and at the top of these 2 loops, that's the first stitch up, or the last stitch up there that I'm going to use. And it's the loop that's joined to this working yarn, so it's easy to find too. Put that in half, or put that out in between those two bobby pins, and then I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to count around till I get to the 12th stitch, put my hook under the 12th, and I'm going to work my way back and finish it off like we did the other side. Okay, so go ahead and do that, and I'll see you back when you're done. Okay, so I made it around, finished that off with a knot there, and then at this end, all you got to do is find that top row and just pull it. Okay, the end of the project is the easier row to do. Okay, pull that off. I'm going to wind that up later, and I'll reuse that. And there we've got our second end all finished beautifully. Okay, so now you've got both of your ends done, and you're going to continue making these panels until you have the width of your body that you want. And for me, I'm doing 10 panels. So I've already joined one side together. Okay, see, got it here, and I've got 5 panels that are joined together. Oh, I just love this yarn. It's so gorgeous. And we're going to do it with a braided join. And now I've got this other panel, which I've started as well. Just like that. I've got my 4 pieces on there. And again, if you need it a little bit wider or narrower, then you just adjust your panels. But you want to make sure that you have 2 pieces that have the same amount of panels on them. So mine have 5 panels each, okay? And the way to know if it's long enough is to put this lengthwise over your shoulder. So that it matches your where the length that you want in the front and the length that you want it in the back, and then so that it touches your neck. So if it's over one shoulder, you want the one side to touch your neck, and then you will see when it lays in the front of your body, then you can see how wide you need it to be, because if it reaches to underneath your arm and you can join it quite easily as a side seam, then you know it's wide enough. If you want it wider, then just add a panel to each side. Don't have a different number of panels on each side. You need to have 2 pieces that are exactly the same. Okay, so now that I've got this one done, I've got 4 panels joined. I'm going to join the last panel with you so that we can do that together, okay? All right, so when you're joining your panels, now I take a stitch marker that I can actually close and move it along as I go, because I don't want it to fall off. I want to make sure that I always know what the front of my project is, okay? So this is the front. I'm always going to knit down this side, or close it off down this side, but I also need it at this end because I'm always going to start from the same end, because if you look at these little braids, they have V's going down. If I start braiding at the other end, then it's not going to match. My pattern is going to be off. So you always want to make sure you have a marker there so that you're starting on the same side. So this end is the end I'm always starting on. The right side of my pattern is always facing me, because you'll see that the braid on the back is a little bit different. It's still beautiful, but it's a little bit different. Don't know if you could see that. It's not as prevalent as the outside, as the right side. So I've got my right side out. Then I'm going to take my other piece. Now always, when you're joining, always make sure you have one side that has this yarn end here. If this one here had a yarn end, then I would turn it like this, so that I only have one yarn end. So I don't have a yarn end on this one, so I'm going to make sure that this side is facing, okay? And then I'm going to put it just like that. Okay, so basically the wrong sides together. And you're going to look for the row where your V's are wide as they're going down. Okay, so if you look at this, the wide part of my V is down and the point is at the top on both sides. That's very, very important if you want your rows to match up, and look like, you know, you've got the same look on both sides. And it's easier to pick up the stitches too if the wide part is on the bottom. So just always make sure that the wide part of your V is on the bottom and you're grabbing the side of your work. So I never start in this first one because I find it's too hard to get. This first one is way up in there. I find it too hard to get into, so I start in the second one. I pull up that loop that's in between that stitch. I go over to the other side. I pull up that bar that's in the middle there, and I put it through the loop on the hook. Then I'm going to miss that next bar and go to the next one. So essentially what I do is, this is the stitch that's being worked, so I count 1, 2, and I go down, I pick up that bar, put it through the loop on the hook, 1, 2, do the same thing, 1, 2, 1, 2. So you're missing a bar, oops, you're missing a bar every time. And you want to make sure that you're taking your time enough that you do not twist your row. You're going to work on that same row all the way down. Because I have no color changes on this one, it's just an easy work. I just keep going all the way down. When you have a color change, you want to make sure that you match your seams, okay? And I do that. If you go look at my gingham blanket and the way I have seamed that together, you'll see how I join my color change areas, okay? So we're going to keep doing this all the way down, just like this, doing our braided join. I'm gonna take my hook out of there just for a second. And you're gonna work it all the way down. Then when you get finished with that, you're going to take your needle and you're gonna take your yarn end here. I will finish all the way down before I do this, but just for the sake of showing you, I'll do it here. Now, I take this end and then I find that very last stitch. I don't want to go over here because then it puckers it. I go to that very last stitch that I can reach there. And I go in there, and then I take this last one again, come around, loop it through, and pull it tight. Then I have a completely straight edge, okay? I'm not having a puckering there or you know, a funny looking edge. It'll be straight all across. So you can see here, it's straight all the way across, okay? Because I grabbed that very last stitch. And then what you're gonna do is you're gonna just take your yarn end and you're gonna bury it one way, then pull on this so that you're not going to pucker this. And then you're going to put it the other way, just along the seam there. And then you're gonna cut it off. You're gonna do that same thing on the other end when you get to the other end. And that's how you're gonna finish it off. So if, like for me, I have 10 panels that I made, so I'm going to join 5 on one panel, and I'm going to do the same thing all the way through. Now, when I'm finished this one all the way down, I'm going to move my stitch marker over to here, or you can leave it 2 over, however you like. But I just don't want you to get it mixed up and do it from the other side, and get your rows all, you know, not looking the same. Okay, so then the next one, I'm gonna, if you have another one, you're gonna just lift it up, put your wrong sides together, and start working down again until you get half of your panels done. Half of your panels done on one, making one panel out of them, and then you're going to go ahead and repeat that process. So I made 10 tubes, 10 of these small panels for my project, and I've put 5 together on one piece, and I'll put 5 together on the other piece. And when you're done that, come back and see me. But again, let me just make mention, if you only need 4 panels, then just do 4. If you need 6, then do 6 on each. Don't do 5 on one and 6 on the other. It has to be the same amount on each panel. Okay, so go ahead and do that, and when you're done, come back and see me. And please make sure that you hit the like button on this video, because it's when you hit that like button, that's how YouTube, the algorithm, picks up my videos and shows them to a wider audience. So if you would do that for me, and hit the subscribe button, that is like a huge thank you that I would offer to you, give back to you, and I'd appreciate that so much. So anyways, go back and go ahead and finish your project in that way. And when you're done that, come back and see me, and we'll take on the next part. So now we are going to start assembling. So we're going to put it over our shoulder. Take one panel, put it over your shoulder, so that when you put your arms straight out, you can see that they're pretty much at the same length, or even you can just tell by looking at the front and the back. You want to make sure that they're the same length. Okay, so you're going to put that over your shoulder, going to grab the middle there, it's about the same length. You'll figure out how to get it to the right place. Okay, then you're going to grab a stitch marker, one that closes, and you're going to just pinch where you want to sew up to. So I'm not going to sew it all the way up to my arm actually, but I'm just going to sew it so that I want to have like a wider opening for the arm. So when it's down, it's about like that. So choose how wide you want I'm actually going to go up a little higher. Choose how wide you want your hole to be there, and then you're going to take a stitch marker. You're going to just eyeball it. Just mark one side, just like that. Okay, and then you're going to take it off. You're going to fold it in half, so that it's accurately folded in half. That's why if it was a little bit off in the other way, when you put it over your shoulder, that's okay. So you're going to fold it in half. You're going to now take that stitch marker, and you're going to mark through both sides. This is awkward. Okay, mark through both sides, just like that. So that's going to be my armhole. Okay, that's about as wide as I want it. You can make it as wide as you want it. You don't have to have it narrow. You can just sew part way up and have it completely open. That would look nice too. So when you're wearing a shirt or a tank top underneath, then you see that as well. So that's how I'm going to do that side. Then I'm going to put this back on my shoulder. Well, I'm going to do the other side first. So take your other panel and mark it so that it's in the same place, and then see me back. Okay, I'm going to do this with a stitch marker in my mouth. You're going to fold this second panel in half, and you're going to just line it up with the corner of this first one that you did, and then you can mark where your closing is going to be on that one as well. Okay. Now, if somebody's a seamstress on this channel who's watching this, and you're going to say, "Oh, Shelley, seriously, is that how you do it?" And I'm going to say, yeah, because I'm not a seamstress. I'm a knitter. So if you have a better way of doing it, then please, by all means, do it that way. But this works for me. Okay, so those are going to be my 2 armholes. So and I made sure that when I marked them, that when this is open, so this is going to be like this, I've got my stitch markers on the same side from when I sewed them. Now, where are they? Oh, they're there somewhere, but I have this marked so that my stitch markers on the bottom, I don't know where they are now. Oh, there they are, other side. So that's going to be my armhole there, and that's going to be my armhole there, and I got my stitch markers from when I was sewing the panels together, both at the front. See that? And that, this is like a gong show, but that's how you want to have it. So my armholes on this side, my armholes on this side, and my stitch markers are both in the front so that I have my seams, my braided join going the same direction on both sides. And that's important. Okay, so I put it on with my armholes where they should be. And the next thing that I'm going to do is you're going to do the braided stitch from the top here, just what we did to join our panels. We're going to do it from the top here and going down the side till we get to the end here, and then we're going to have to add a piece of yarn so that we can tie it off and then hide the yarn. I'll show you when I get to the bottom of that. Okay, so for now you just pick up a stitch, you line it up, get your same row like you did with your panels, and we start braiding all the way down. And when we get to the bottom, I'll see you back. Okay, I'm just going to hold the camera here. Just before I start sewing, I just thought I would show you. I pinch the bottom here, and then I follow the stitch up all the way. See if I can get this. Then I follow that row all the way up, so that up to where the point was that I wanted, which is there. And then I put a bobby pin through those 2 stitches, and I know that's where I'm going to start my seaming and go all the way down. That way, if I line it up at the bottom first, then I'm not going to end up with it like this when I start at the top and come down. I make sure that I line it up at the bottom and then follow it all the way up to where I want to start, mark it, and then start braiding down. That will give me the right length on both pieces when I get to the bottom. Okay, just thought I'd quickly give you that little tip. All right, have fun. Okay, so we've sewn down, and we notice that our V's are running the same direction on all the panels, so it just looks like one continuous circle all the way around, which is what you wanted. Now I've grabbed that last stitch with my stitch marker here, and I'm going to just take this very last stitch that's down there. You could take that one if you want, but I'm going to grab this one. And then you just string it through, a piece of yarn through. You tie a knot. It's just so easy. And again, there's probably a better way to do this, but it's how I do it. Okay. And then I will go and I'll pick up that. First of all, let me just get this one out of the way. So the one that I'm not going to use, I'm going to just, I'm going to hide that in my seams. Okay. Just tuck that in there, come back the other way, which I wouldn't have to do because I am going to put a small fringe on the bottom of this, and that fringe will hold this. If I only went one way, it would still hold that in place, but by way of habit, I always go back and forth twice, okay? So that's how you add a piece of yarn if you need one. Now I've got this next one. I'm going to thread that again. Then I'm going to go through this last stitch that I held with my stitch marker, okay? Once I get my yarn through there, I can take this stitch marker off. We are done with that little guy. And then I'm going to just sew up the end like I told you to do before, where you take that last stitch there and you take the last one that you can find there, thread it through that loop. I hope I'm in camera here. Pull that tight. And you can re-knot it twice if you want, but I really feel like that's tight enough. For me, I can feel how tight that I made that, and it's not going to come undone. Then I'm going to hide that there and go back. Oopsie. Trying to stay in camera here and I'm all thumbs. Okay, let's try left-handed. That'll probably be more successful. Okay. Cut that off, and you're going to do the exact same thing for the other side, okay? And then you've got your sides all closed up and beautiful. There's your armhole. Wonderful. Oh, it's so exciting. Okay, so finish the other side and see me back. Okay, so once you get that done, what you're going to do next is you're going to fold your piece completely in half. Like this is the front where this front comes together, and this is the back, okay? I just pulled that all out of, stretched it all out of whack here, but this is the middle seam. Up the back that you're going to do, and you're going to start at the very top where let me see here, when it's folded completely in half, you're going to leave about a 1/2 inch there, and then you're going to start your your braided join from about there and go all the way down to the bottom and finish off the way you were, the way we've been doing, okay? So this is the back panel again. This is one armhole, and this is the other, just like that. And this is the back, the very middle of the back. You're going to put it completely in half and start about a ½ inch from the top and braid all the way down, braid join all the way down like you did for the other panels. And then when you have that done, your project can be just complete, just like this. You don't have to do anything else to it. I've got to fix this little snag that, let me just do that here while I'm on the line, while I'm talking to you, just in case somebody doesn't know how to do it. I'm just gonna put my crochet hook in there, grab the loop, pull it through. Hid that little snag, okay? Got one more little one here to do, but yeah, I mean, you can leave your project just like this if you like, and just wear it as a bulky vest. And it's beautiful. You can put a single crochet all around the edge here, and then do a border, a different crochet border with your single crochet edging as your first row, and then you can do another crochet stitch if you want to make a border around that. You could add buttons. You could, for me, I'm thinking about adding a snap here, and then I'm gonna, like, so that it snaps on the inside here and you don't see the snap. Then I'm gonna sew the button on the outside here. We'll see what embellishments I do. I've got a few ideas here, but you'll see, you would have seen at the beginning of the video actually, as I'm recording this live. I'm still trying to make some decisions here. So that's what we've got so far. I'm going to put it on and show you what it looks like just as it is. You don't have to put a crochet border on there. You don't have to do anything. You can just leave it like this. It's a little bit longer in the back, but it's straight across in the back, and that's just because of where I put it on my shoulders. If I hike this up just a little bit, so it's a little bit shorter in the back, then we got more of a straight rim around the front, and it's even. But I like it to be up just a little bit, and a little bit lower in the back, and I again adjust that just by pulling it up on my shoulders a bit, and it's beautiful just like this, but I'm going to go ahead and add a fringe now. So if you want to add a fringe, stay with me and we're going to do that together. All right, so I have several pieces of cardboard and several widths cut for different projects that I do. And this one I use for my baby blankets, but it's the size that I'm going to use for my shawl, or for my vest, sweater vest. It is 4 inches. In width, and then you can make it as long as you want. I do 9 inches. This one's 9 inches, but that's only because that was the that's just how I cut it. It doesn't matter how long it is. It just matters how wide it is. And then you're going to grab your yarn. I've got mine all tangled up in a little mess here. Hang on, let me find my edge. Okay, so we're going to just take the yarn end and we're going to wrap it around our cardboard. So simply just like this. All around, we're going to keep wrapping, and every time we wrap, one full wrap is one fringe, okay? And the reason why, when we cut them, we're going to cut it in one spot, which means each of these pieces is now going to be 8 inches long. I'm just going to stop there because this yarn is tangled. I'm going to stop there. I'm going to cut that off. So now you've got your cardboard with your yarn, and you just keep winding and winding and winding for as many times as you want, and then we're going to just cut it down the middle. Doesn't matter where you cut it because you're just doing one cut. So whether you cut it up at the top or in the middle or wherever, I can cut this one down here, doesn't matter. The only piece that's going to be out of whack is the first and the last piece. But then we're going to take them off the cardboard, and now we've got an 8-inch piece of tassel, okay? We're going to fold it in half, and then that makes it a 3-inch again, okay? And that's how it's going to go on our project. So let me just grab my project here. I'm going to go all around the bottom of my sweater vest here. And so what we do is, this is the front side, okay? I'm going to put my hook in from the back. Underneath those 2 bars, I'm just going to pick up the edging, okay? My tassel is fringe is already in half. I'm going to put the middle loop around my hook, bring it through that stitch. Then I'm going to yarn over and bring those 2 ends through that loop. And then I'm going to pull. And that's my fringe right there. That's a 3-inch fringe because or did I say 4-inch? Whatever this cardboard was. It's 4-inch. It's a 4-inch fringe. Okay, and that's how you do your fringe all the way around. Now, that's pretty thin yarn. You can choose to do it. I mean, it's 4-weight, but it looks like a thin fringe. I'm going to show you what it looks like with 2. Okay, so I've taken 2 pieces, put them together. I'm going to go into the next space that I choose. I'll just evenly space them out. Go from behind to the front. Put these pieces in half, put them through. You can take it off your hook too and put your fingers through if you find that easier, and then grab all 4 of those ends because it's doubled and pull it through. So that's the look of a double tassel. That's the look of a single tassel. For this project, I'm going to do a double. I like how that looks. Way, way better. For this project, I wrote out the pattern. I designed it, and then this is the first one I've made like this. So I'm making it with you, following the pattern that I made, okay? So that's why right now with the tassels, I wasn't sure whether I was going to do 1 thickness or 2. Okay, so there we go. I like 2 better. And then we're going to have that tassel hanging all the way around. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, doing a double, no, I keep calling it a tassel, but a double fringe all the way around. And when I get to the end, I'll come back and I'll show you, okay? So have fun doing that. Put on your favorite movie, you know. When I was a kid, like that was a long time ago, but when I was a kid, believe it or not, I liked the Star Wars movies. You know, back in that day and age when they first came out, everybody liked them. But I just saw that they were on TV, and they had all 3 episodes that were on a few days ago. So I actually went and I PVR'd them. And I'm gonna go watch Darth Vader as I put my fringe on, and then when I'm done, I will come back and see you. All right, so I finished my fringe. I did 2 strands in every row of stitches, and then I decided I was going to put some buttons on. There is like an ivory fleck in here, and I had these ivory buttons, so I thought I would add to that. Okay, so I put 3 buttons on, and I did just a chain of 10. And if you don't know how to chain 10, I did it with a 5.5 millimeter hook. If you don't know how to chain 10, you can do a chain. You can just look on my channel for learning how to crochet, and I'll show you how to do that. Okay. And so what I'm going to do is this is going to essentially go around the button like this. Okay. I'm going to tie a knot right there. Right where the 2 ends meet, and then I'm going to just leave a little bit of a strand, and then I'm going to just sew it in on the inside here, just so that I have my loop coming from the inside just like that, and it'll go around my sweater, or around the button. Okay, so I'm going to do that for all 3 buttons, and then I'll see you back. Okay, I thought I would show you what I'm doing because it might be confusing. Okay, so I did my chain of 10. I tied a knot there. Then I'm going to thread my needle. Okay, with one end. And then I'm going to make sure that this is lined up and even. Okay, and then I'm going to go over. I figured it out that I need to go over about 5 rows. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then I'm going to bring my needle up like that. Oops, I shouldn't have let go of it. Well, let me just do this next side, then I'm going to thread the next one. And I'm going to come up right in the stitch, right, leaving a bar between the 2, okay? And then I'm going to go back down on this side. And I'm going to go back down, leaving that little one bar in between so that it doesn't come out. Back down here. Okay, just like that. And then I can pull these 2, tie a knot, tight knot, and then I'll weave these ends in between the layers. Okay, so essentially that'll be off, and then when it's closed, it's like this. Okay, so that's how I added my chain 10. Just thought I would show you that for some who weren't understanding how I had explained it. Okay, so there we go. All right, so I decided I was going to put a hoodie on my sweater. So what I did, and rather than make a tutorial on how to do this too, because we've already done it, you're going to do the same thing. You're going to do waste yarn, then you're going to do 110 rows, and then you're going to do waste yarn again and remove it and make a flat edge. I used my Sentro 48 needle machine. You can use your 46 Addi, whatever you have, and make 2 of them. So you're going to cast on with waste yarn, just like we did our tubes for our sweater. Cast on with waste yarn, knit 110 rows, cast off with waste yarn, and then you're going to seam close the ends like we did on the narrower panels for our sweater. Make 2 of those that are 110 rows each, and then we're going to mattress stitch them together, okay? So I'm going to take these side seams, just like we do when we braided our pieces, our smaller pieces together for our sweater. We're going to line them up so that the wide part of the V is at the bottom there. Then we're going to thread our yarn with the same color thread, and we're going to go into that top stitch, and we're going to pick up 2 bars. Okay, pick up 2 bars. Bring that yarn through. Then we're going to go over to the other side, and we're going to pick up the first 2 bars there. Oops, caught around my wrist. And we're going to bring that through, just like so. Okay, and we're going to go down in that like manner. So where we came out here, we're going to pick up 2 bars. Where we came out here, we're going to pick up 2 bars. And here, 2 bars, and we're going to do that all the way down. And I'm just going to do a little bit further for you, because then I'll show you how we pull it tight, okay? So we're going to, this is actually a really quick join. It doesn't take you long at all. You're just going back and forth, picking up 2 bars. And when you get a few stitches done, you're going to grab that end on the one side and the end on the other, and you're just going to give it a little tug until it's straight. And then it automatically lines up your row into a beautiful, it just look, you won't even see that there's a join there, okay? And so then you go a little bit farther down, and then you pinch where you last pulled, and then you pull this end again, and let's just do a few more. And then you will have a seamless join, okay? Doing the mattress stitch. So, okay, I came out of this one, oops, this one right here, so I'm gonna go in, I'm gonna pick up 2. Go into the other side, pick up 2, and the other side, and pick up 2. And when I get down about 15, 16 stitches or so, then I'm going to pinch where I last pulled, and I'm going to pull this one, and I'm going to make it straight again. Or you can always pull from here as far, like, eventually it'll be too long to pull from here, so that's why I pinch at the end here and I go down. And then you finish off both ends, and get them nicely hidden and tucked, and then see me back and we'll do the last part of it. Okay, once you've got your 2 panels sewn together, I always find that there is one side that looks a little bit bumpier than the other side. Like this side, you can't really even, it shouldn't be that way because you're grabbing in the middle, but if there is, if that's the same to you, then just put your inside part of your hood facing you. Then you're going to take the one end and you're going to fold it over so it meets the other end. Just like so. Just like that, and then you're going to stitch down this one as well. Do the same mattress stitch. Find your row where you want to seam together, and then you're going to do your mattress stitch all the way down. Now, because you're working on the same row here, you might have, you'll see if you're choosing the same row, you'll have the stitches going the wide end on one side here and the narrow end on the other side here. I just always give it just a slight twist. I don't know, I just always feel it's important. I could be wrong, but it's just how I like to do my finishing work. I like to have the, actually they're both facing up, which means I would start on this other side. So I'm going to have it, so I'm gonna find my side, but I'm gonna have it so that, just like that, so that the wide part of the stitch is going in the direction that I'm going to sew. So I'm going to start sewing from this corner here and come down. And so I have my wide part of the V's going down. Okay, so go ahead and mattress stitch that one of your sides together, and then I'll see you back. Okay, so we're getting there. So once you have your hoodie all sewed together, you're going to take the raw edge. So one edge is going to look like just this regular knit part here, and the other is going to, here's your middle seam coming down when you put the two sides together, and you're going to have the right side of your sweater up, and you're going to just pin this on. So here's the middle seam of my sweater, okay? And what I did too, I just wanted to let you know, is I took a thread and I reinforced the end here, so it wasn't just these little loops that were holding this piece together. I took a needle and a thread, and I reinforced at the top of my braid there. Okay, and you might want to do that as well. Just sew back and forth a couple times to make it tighter. Okay, and so then you're going to lay your hood. You're going to take that center seam, and you're going to lay it on the center where your braid is, and then you'll know it's completely centered. And then you're just going to fold it down, or lay it down. I've got some stitches that got knotted, or that got loose here. I'm going to have to fix those. I snagged them on a bobby pin. And you're going to just lay it out straight, and I fastened it with some stitch markers, and then I did it down the other side too. And then I just took a long piece of yarn, and I tied a knot right in the middle there to join the center. I'm going to use one end. I didn't do it long enough, but that's okay. Make sure you have a long enough one. I'm going to take one end, and I'm going to just seam my hoodie onto my sweater just by going like this. Can you see, am I in the camera here? Oops, got that little stitch marker. I'm just going to take the very edges, and I'm going to pick up one stitch and then go over, and I'm going to do this really close together, making sure that every stitch, sometimes a stitch will actually even have two in there. I just want to make sure it's really secure. I'm going to do that all the way down both sides, fasten off, take out my stitch markers, and it will be done. So you've done it, my friends. You persevered. Now, again, you can make the sweater and leave the hoodie off. It looks beautiful without the hoodie too. And you can wear it both ways. So if you choose not to do this part, that's totally fine. That's great. If you decide to make one of these, I would love to see it, as well as the rest of the group. Go to my Facebook page, Koala Knits and Knacks. It's not a page, it's a group. I will put the link in down below, and click on it, and if you haven't joined, please come and join. I'd appreciate that, and you'll find lots of inspiration and encouragement there. It's just a new group, and I'd love to have you as a part of it. And if you make one of these, show us. We'd love to see the color choices and just how it all turned out and what it looks like on you. And yeah, I'd love to have you as a part of that group. So go ahead, finish your project, and enjoy the rest of your day. If you wouldn't mind, please hit the like button on this video, because that's how YouTube picks it up and the algorithm passes along. So if you haven't subscribed yet, by all means, please do so, but don't forget to hit that subscribe button. I'd appreciate that very much. All right, friends, take care, and we'll talk to you soon.